Vesper is a little girl living in a dystopian future, scrounging for food to keep herself and her father alive when she meets a victim who desperately needs her help. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, and this is a review of Vesper. I'm a blind film critic. I watch films with audio description, and this does have audio description. It was really interesting because I think this is the first time I've heard AudioEyes do a feature. Maybe. If not, it's like the second. Like, I don't hear them do features a lot. So this was AudioEyes, which I've heard them do a lot of TV shows. But not a lot of features. This is an independent science fiction film. So it was cool that they put audio description on it in the first place. It's IFC is the distribution behind this. I did rent this off of iTunes. So if you're wondering, you're like, ooh, where? It's on iTunes. I have no idea where it's going to go. Actually, I do. IFC is a branch of AMC Plus. It'll likely end up on AMC Plus if it's not already there at some point, which means it won't have audio description. So if you want to watch it with audio description, you're going to have to rent it. And I would say if you're a sci-fi junkie and you just like independent sci-fi, sure. As far as like mass appeal, I don't know that this film has mass appeal. It doesn't really have a recognizable cast. When I tell you Eddie Marsan is the biggest name in this film, I mean that by leaps and bounds. Like, I don't recognize anyone in this cast, remotely in this cast, except Eddie Marsan. So, yeah, there's really, I know this is not, this isn't some film where Will Smith pops up at the end and plays the devil or something. No, it's this is just a lone sci-fi film where a little girl has to eat maggots, which is a thing. Yum. They live in a world where there's like people who live in like the Citadel, and then there's like these people who live like outside the Citadel, and they're scavenging for food, and they get seeds that have been like manipulated to where they can only grow one time. They're one use seeds. Like, you can't keep replanting and regrowing crops. So they don't really have a lot of food because they can't farm. I don't really understand the need and the necessity for that. I don't know why they're keeping the humans outside the cities down. There really wasn't a ton of explanation into that. There was like they were like, because Vesper asks at one point, she's like, well, I mean, why don't you guys use human workers? And they're like, well, because androids, they follow commands. They don't complain. Humans tend to complain. It's like, okay, but I mean, still, like, why did you just why are there a whole bunch of people just like living out here in this weird sort of District 8 District 9 dystopian wasteland trying to fend for food? It's I still like I didn't quite get what they were like. Why? I know that they set up the world and they just said this is the world, and it's like, okay, I could use a little bit more explanation, but it's a small cast. It's an independent science fiction, so they didn't spend a ton of money on an expansive universe. You don't get to sweep over the whole planet, and not a lot of things blow up, and it's just kind of limited to what they could make happen visually at that time. And there's some stuff that's described here. She does have a floating droid thing that follows her around. It's like a surrogate version of her father. Even though I didn't quite 100% understand how her father spoke through the droid. because he is hooked up to a bed. It's not a spoiler. He's hooked up to the bed the whole movie. The first time you meet him, he's in a bed with tubes in him. So, but he speaks through the droid. I don't know how. I tried figuring out and paying attention, and I don't know if Vesper makes the most sense. It's kind of cool. It feels like the kind of film that if somebody had thought of Vesper, like, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, whenever Saoirse Ronan was still doing, whenever Hannah came out, if she could have followed Hannah up with Vesper, I feel like Vesper would have been great for her. And they could have maybe gotten a little bit more money. Instead, they've got this girl who feels like the girl that plays Hannah in the Amazon show and is not Saoirse Ronan. And you're just reminded consistently that she's not Saoirse Ronan. So, yeah, she does fine. As far as a child actor goes, I don't know how old she is. She sounds a lot older than what she's targeted for. So I have a feeling, I think the film says she's supposed to be 13. I'm going to guess she's older than that. So she sounds a little bit more like Millie Bobby Brown than a 13-year-old. So, I don't know what else to say about this film. Some of it is a spoiler if you did watch it, so I can't go too much into it. There's backstory with the I don't know what else to call her. The victim that they pick up, the one who's she's from the Citadel, and her ship crashed outside. She's flying around and her ship crashed, and she was with somebody else, and she's frantically trying to find the person she was with. And there's like a whole backstory with that, and what happens to him, why she's out here to begin with, who she is, and this relationship that she learns to build with Vesper, even though Vesper lives in squalor and eats maggots, which that first time when Vesper presented her with her dinner and it was maggots, I was just like, whew. You are not in the Citadel anymore, are you? And this lady is just holding a bowl of maggots. And it was like in the audio description, I was like, I can just imagine what the scene looks like right now. I can just imagine this woman is like, fuck, what do I do? Do I have to eat this? Shit. Shit. I can't do this. If somebody handed me a bowl of maggots, it would take me, starvation would have to be really close. For me they're moving, and maggots. I mean, I could try a cricket first before I'd be like, you have crickets? I've heard those are lovely. But no. Yeah, a bowl of, wriggling maggots is just, anyway. So, yeah, that's Vesper. It's a sci-fi. There's a guy that she has to go to get things who's of course shady, because there's always some shady guy who, you have to make some deal or bargain with. Mostly it's just, she just has to bargain to get things that keep her dad alive. Her dad is like, I don't know, like on life support 2.0. It's just got tubes going in and out of him. Just tons of tubes. But based on the reactions that he's sending to the drone, he's very much alive. So he's in there. Anyway, I don't think anybody's gonna watch this, but if you do want to watch it, if you do see Vesper and you click on it, it's not a bad film. It's not a great film. It's definitely way longer than it needs to be, because it doesn't feel fast. It feels actually really slow at times. Like, it feels like we're trying to meditate in something, but I don't really know what we're meditating on. like, we're not really meditating on life. We're not really talking about any deep thoughts. We're just kind of stuck. It's like we want to see Vesper's life for like a long period of time. Like we're in some sort of documentary and we're like watching her live in squalor. And it has no plot. Like it doesn't know where to go from here. It's like, well, we have the woman. What do we do? I don't know. Nothing. Cool. We're just gonna live here. All right. Let's play some music. Let's get that guitar out. Okay. We'll do that. What are we gonna do now? I don't know. Maybe we should have her walk around a bit. Okay. Well, we'll do that. What do we do now? I don't know. Fuck. I ran out of things. I guess we'll just kind of have them talk to each other. We'll try that. Like it doesn't really go anywhere. It's like it wants to hit the 2-hour mark. So it just fills the film with as much as possible, because the thing that's interesting about the film comes only when it's needed, only towards the end of the film. So they're like the first 2/3 of this film, it's really slow. And then finally they're like, oh, hey, by the way, here's the catch. And you're like, oh, you mean you could have told me that earlier? We could have had a more fun film. Cool. Awesome. Thanks. Thanks for the other, hour plus of the movie where we just kind of did the same thing over and over. Anyway, not a huge fan of the film. I think it's kind of cool and kind of inventive, and some stuff happens, but I don't know. I can't really recommend it. I'm sure some people out there like it. Actually has a pretty decent Rotten Tomatoes score. Its IMDb score is all right, but it's got a decent Rotten Tomatoes. So I'm gonna give Vesper a C. I know, yeah, that's my average. Average. I mean, there's stuff here to like, but there's stuff here not to like too. So I didn't have a problem with the acting. I just this film's long. It feels long, and it just feels like you're sitting here waiting for something to happen. Kind of like this review. Anyway, I know when when I'm just rambling. Anyway, subscribe anyway, even when I ramble, because I don't edit my shit like everybody else. These videos that are heavily edited, where you can tell somebody came back like 5 days later and then like dropped their audio. they had another thought. They're like, oh, gotta change my stuff up. I don't do that. So subscribe, and I have a website, MacTheMovieGuy.com. You can go to Twitter and follow me there at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to Instagram and follow me at MacTheMovieGuy. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org, and let you know what has audio description, where you can watch it. And you can go to the ADNA.org. That's the ADNA.org, and it will let you know who is narrating your favorite films and television series. That's it for me today. I will watch something else and review it for you guys, and see you on the other side.